The Neural Integration Academy's classification algorithm had never been wrong. In 300 years of sorting awakened humans into their destined hunter classes, the quantum processing core had achieved a 99.97% accuracy rate. That's why when Maya Singh received her classification results, the entire administrative board convened for an emergency session. Failed Hunter Class, the holographic display read, its crimson letters floating in the sterile air of the assessment chamber. Maya stood motionless, her dark eyes reflecting the damning words. Around her, the neuroscanners hummed, their crystalline sensors still pulsing with residual energy from the deep brain mapping they just completed. The Failed Hunter Class wasn't just the lowest tier. It was a designation reserved for those whose neural patterns showed awakening potential, but lacked any viable combat synchronization. People who could sense the dimensional rifts, but couldn't fight the creatures that emerged from them. "There must be an error," said Dr. Chen, the Academy's chief assessor, his weathered fingers dancing across the haptic interface. "Run the sequence again." But the machine's verdict remained unchanged. Maya Singh, age 22, cognitive synchronization rate of 87%, phenomenal by any standard, but zero combat resonance, zero weapon affinity, zero monster suppression capability. She was useless. William Torres watched from the observation deck, his jaw tight. As the Academy's top-ranked apex hunter, he'd been invited to mentor promising newcomers this cycle. Instead, he was witnessing a tragedy. The Failed Hunter Class was a death sentence in disguise. Those assigned to it were given menial support roles, logistics, equipment maintenance, rift monitoring, anything to keep them away from actual combat. Most quit within a year, unable to bear the stigma. But there was something about Maya's expression that intrigued him. No tears, no protest, just a calculating stillness, as if she were solving an equation no one else could see. The Seraphim Barracks housed hunters by classification. Maya's assigned quarters were in Sub-Level 9, a forgotten corner of the complex where the fluorescent lights flickered and the air recyclers wheezed. She didn't complain. Instead, she spent her first night studying the Academy's complete monster database, her neural implants syncing with terabytes of combat data. The awakening had begun 15 years ago when the first dimensional rift tore open above Seoul. The creatures that emerged, biomechanical horrors that defied conventional physics, had decimated the city in 4 hours. Humanity's response had been the Hunter program. Militarized awakened individuals whose enhanced neural patterns allowed them to perceive and combat the monster's reality-distorting abilities. But Maya had always suspected the program was fundamentally flawed. She pulled up the classified files she'd quietly copied during her assessment, a severe violation that could mean expulsion, but she'd always believed rules were subordinate to truth. The data painted a disturbing picture. Hunter fatality rates were climbing annually despite improved training. Monster adaptation patterns showed sophisticated behavioral evolution. And most tellingly, every successful monster suppression required progressively more force, more hunters, more casualties. "They're not adapting to us," Maya whispered to her empty room. "They're learning." Her neural implant chimed. A message from William Torres' training yard. 600 hours, don't be late. William had mentored dozens of hunters, but none like Maya. She arrived at the training yard precisely on time, wearing the gray jumpsuit of the Failed Hunter Class while everyone else sported their color-coded combat suits. "Combat theory," William announced, gesturing to the holographic training scenario materializing around them. "Category 3 Ravager, standard suppression protocol. Watch." He moved with lethal grace, his neural implants synchronizing perfectly with his weapon system. The simulated Ravager, a 6-limbed creature with crystalline armor and probability-shifting movement, lunged. William's plasma blade cut through 3 potential timelines simultaneously, finding the one true strike that would kill it. The creature disintegrated. "Your turn," he said. Maya stepped forward. The simulation reset. The Ravager materialized, its multifaceted eyes gleaming with predatory intelligence. She didn't draw a weapon. Instead, she closed her eyes. "What are you doing?" William demanded. "Listening," she replied. Her neural implant began emitting a frequency no human ear could detect, but the sensors in William's combat suit registered it immediately. A complex harmonic pattern that seemed to resonate with the simulation's quantum substrate itself. The Ravager froze. Its armored head tilted as if confused. Then slowly, impossibly, it lowered itself into a submissive posture. William's weapon clattered to the floor. That's not possible." Maya opened her eyes. "We've been fighting them wrong from the beginning." By Wednesday, word of Maya's ability had spread through the Academy's underground networks. The official channels remained silent. The administration was still trying to classify what they'd witnessed, but hunters talked. Some called it a glitch. Others whispered about dimensional corruption, suggesting Maya had been compromised by rift exposure. William became her unofficial bodyguard and her most persistent questioner. They spent hours in the abandoned sub-level laboratories, running unauthorized tests. "The monsters aren't mindless," Maya explained, her fingers flying across holographic displays showing neural wave patterns. "Look at this. Their brain structures show hierarchical organization, communication protocols, even what might be cultural transmission of learned behaviors." "They're killing machines," William countered. "I've seen what they do to cities." "Because we attack them the moment they emerge," Maya said. "We've never tried communication. We assumed they were incompatible with our reality, so we made them enemies by default." She pulled up a new scan, her own neural patterns during the training exercise. "My failed classification. It's because my brain doesn't synchronize with combat systems. It synchronizes with them. I can perceive their communication frequencies, understand the patterns they use to navigate between dimensions." William studied the data, his expression shifting from skepticism to wonder. "You're speaking their language." "Learning to," Maya corrected, "and they're responding." Thursday's incident made her theory impossible to ignore. A Category 5 rift opened 7 kilometers from the Academy, the largest in 3 years. Standard protocol demanded immediate deployment of all Apex and Elite class hunters. William was suited up and ready when Maya appeared in the deployment bay. "You can't be here," the operations commander barked. "Failed class personnel are prohibited from." "She's with me," William interrupted, tossing Maya a communication headset. "Observer status." They deployed via quantum jump, materializing at the rift's perimeter. 23 hunters formed a suppression perimeter while the support teams established containment barriers. Through the rift's shimmering membrane, they could see movement, massive, writhing shapes preparing to cross over. "All units weapons hot," the field commander ordered. "Prepare for—" "Wait," Maya's voice cut through the channel. "Let me try something." "Negative. Failed class has no authority to." William muted the command channel and activated his private link to Maya. "What do you need?" "Amplification. Your suit's neural broadcaster. Sync it to my implant's frequency." It was insane. It violated every protocol, but William had seen what she could do. He initialized the connection. Maya's consciousness expanded through the neural link, her awareness suddenly amplified by the military-grade systems in William's combat suit. She could feel the rift now, not as a tier in reality but as a doorway. And on the other side she could sense them, not monsters but minds. Confused, frightened, searching for something. She began transmitting. The frequency she generated was impossibly complex, a mathematical poem that transcended language. It conveyed concepts: safety, curiosity, peaceful intent. It asked questions: why do you come? What do you seek? The rift pulsed. Every hunter's warning system screamed proximity alerts. Then something emerged, that had never been documented in the entire history of the awakening. The creature was massive, easily 30 meters tall, but it didn't attack. It simply stood at the rift's threshold, its countless sensory organs focused entirely on Maya. When it vocalized, the sound shattered windows 3 blocks away, but through the neural link, Maya understood. Lost, separated, seeking home. Tears streamed down Maya's face. "They're refugees," she whispered. "They're not invading, they're displaced. Their dimension is collapsing and they're looking for sanctuary." Friday was bureaucracy and damage control. The incident was classified at the highest levels. Maya was placed under protective custody, though it felt more like house arrest. Teams of scientists wanted to study her. Military strategists wanted to weaponize her ability. Ethicists wanted to debate the implications. William fought through the bureaucracy to reach her. "They're going to lock you away," he said, standing in her quarters doorway. "Package you as a strategic asset. You'll spend the rest of your life in a laboratory." Maya looked up from her data pad, where she'd been compiling her research into a comprehensive framework for human-monster communication. "I know." "So run, I can get you out, we can." "No," she said firmly. "If I run, this dies with me. If I stay, if I cooperate, I can change everything." The failed hunter class wasn't a mistake, William. It was the algorithm recognizing something humanity wasn't ready to understand, that we needed diplomats, not just warriors. By Sunday, the first official contact protocol had been drafted. Maya stood before the Global Hunter Council, her failed class insignia still on her uniform. She'd refused to accept reclassification, insisting the designation was not a failure but a different kind of success. "We've lost 17,000 hunters in 15 years, she told the assembled leaders, her voice steady despite the weight of their scrutiny. "We've destroyed 42 cities fighting an enemy we never tried to understand. The monsters we've been killing, they're survivors from a dying dimension, seeking refuge in ours." She activated the holographic display showing the data she'd compiled. Communication protocols, successful contact sequences, the beginning of what might become an actual dialogue between species. "I was assigned to the failed hunter class because I couldn't fight. But maybe that's exactly what we need, people who can't see them as targets, who can only see them as beings. Give me a week and I showed you it's possible. Give me time and we might achieve peace." The council chamber fell silent. Then, one by one, the monitors displaying remote council members began to glow green, votes of approval. William watched from the observer section, a smile breaking across his face. The failed hunter had just changed the world. Outside the council chamber, through the reinforced windows, the newest rift shimmered in the distance. But for the first time in 15 years, no alarm sounded. Instead, a team of contact specialists, newly designated, mostly pulled from the failed hunter class, approached with open hands and Maya's communication frequencies. And from the rift, slowly, tentatively, something that looked like hope emerged.